been doing with your business, how you are serving people. Every time I get on Instagram and see what else you're doing, I'm like, this woman is amazing. Because again, many of us get information, but the question is, what do we do with it? So hopefully today in this conversation, let me make sure I'm not cutting off my head. This conversation that we're going to have today, hopefully it's not just going to be like, you went to church, you felt good. Hopefully you feel good and then you didn't do anything, but that you're actually thinking about what changes will I make? Because growth only comes with doing. It's like watching exercise videos, but you don't do the exercise. You can't complain that you do not see the change in your body when you were just watching it. So today we're talking about breaking free from the guilt of womanhood. I'm going to go fast. I have a lot of information I want to share with you, but I want to make sure that we have time at the end to have a conversation because I think the conversations are very, very important. So women, I know that it looks like we have a man on here as well, but here's what's really important. We need to be learning about men. Men need to be learning about women. Everybody needs to be learning about everybody else because we all live in this world together. And when we don't understand each other, we end up having a lot of miscommunication and a lot of problems. But today we're talking about breaking free from the guilt of womanhood. And what you'll find out is that a lot of the things that we're talking about that pertain to women, men also experience guilt. So we shouldn't at all think that this is just something that is for women, right? Give me a second. I need to tell my family here to be quiet because I can hear them and I don't want them to interrupt what we're doing here. Hold on. Trying to send a text message to tell them to be quiet. Hold on. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. So women are conditioned to carry guilt for a lot of different reasons. But what is guilt? Because I think it's really important that we are defining our terms so that we're on the same page. Guilt is an emotional response to a perceived wrongdoing or failure to meet certain expectations. It can arise from real actions, from societal conditioning, or unrealistic self-imposed standards. But this is basically where, you're just, someone may have not even said anything to you, but you are thinking it and you're thinking, I didn't meet up to, I did not achieve this, I did not show up in a certain way. And so you're feeling guilty. And we're going to talk about the impact that guilt has on us. But talking about breaking free from the guilt of womanhood, women are conditioned to carry guilt. And I will take it even further and say we are conditioned to impose guilt on other women. We're very judgmental of ourselves. Something happens with us right now in Nigeria. We have the situation with Senator Natasha that I've been following. And it's amazing how quiet women are or how judgmental they are of her, as if we don't know that these things happen. you know and it's like, is she supposed to now feel bad that she spoke up? Is she supposed to feel bad that she interpreted something a certain way, and so on and so forth? But we feel guilt for wanting more. We feel guilt about setting boundaries. We feel guilt about prioritizing ourselves. We feel guilt about saying no. We feel guilt about not being enough. We feel guilt about our bodies. The reason why women are doing all this enhancement and all of that, you look at someone else, you look at, you say, oh, I'm falling short, and so on and so on. Beauty standard. There's so many reasons. I'm not a good enough mother. I'm not a good enough wife. I'm not a good enough partner. I wasn't a good enough girlfriend. I wasn't a good enough daughter. I wasn't a good enough granddaughter. I wasn't a good enough, just guilt. Right. So just to share a little bit for me, as Suparo said, I am married. I've been married for 27 years now. I'm a daughter. Obviously, I didn't fall out from the sky. I have 5 children. And at different points in my life, I've been in the workforce, like going to work every day. There are other times when I've worked primarily from home, but it doesn't matter where I was. There was still that sense of, I'm not meeting up or I'm not doing this. And so you see us staying up late nights, early mornings, trying to juggle all these balls. And of course, in the meantime, not even taking care of ourselves, all because of guilt. It might not even be something someone else said, but it's just this societal expectation. Guilt about I didn't lose my baby weight quick enough. Guilt of, it's just crazy the things that we put ourselves through. If any of this resonates with you, please put your information in the chat. Tell me, oh yeah, this resonates with me. I feel guilt about. Tell me what you feel guilt about, or maybe impose on yourself, or that you feel other people are imposing on you. So there are different types of guilt. There is really a healthy guilt. This is one that motivates us to make amends when we've done something wrong. If I've hurt somebody's feelings, I should feel some guilt. I should feel an emotion that says, oh, that this wasn't really nice how you treated this person. You can change this. So feeling guilt about things that really do need changed is healthy. But there's also another kind of guilt, which is the toxic guilt. This is an excessive and irrational sense of responsibility, often rooted in external pressures rather than actual wrongdoing. So, however you cut it, you have 24 hours in a day. Some of us are trying to do 2 weeks worth of work in 24 hours. And you fall short because it's virtually impossible to be so amazing. Oh, I cooked 10 different pots of soup, and I did homework with the kids, and I checked on my parents, and I was the best worker. I got to work before anybody else, and I left after everybody else had left. And I came home and I was so sexy and ready to take care of my partner. And I prayed for 2 hours. And it's not even physically possible. And I exercised, right? So that is more of a toxic guilt. Now, what are the effects of guilt on us? There are psychological effects. Some of us go into anxiety. One of the things that I'm seeing now is a lot of people who are having a hard time sleeping. So they're taking melatonin, they're drinking alcohol, they're taking Tylenol PM, you can put in the chat what you've seen people taking, because it's like you're just constantly like, I can't get it all done, I'm falling short, right? So that anxiety, depression, chronic stress. And then what does chronic stress do to us? It causes our bodies to overcreate cortisol. That could cause you to gain weight. For some people, it causes them to lose weight. It's like, why are you looking like Pangla? Because, you're just like out of sorts, right? You're not able to focus. Can lead to high blood pressure, hypertension. It can lead to heart issues even, right? And then, of course, depression, where now you're just like, you can't even motivate yourself to do the things that you can do because you're so overwhelmed and your body pretty much just shuts down. It can lead to lower self-esteem. It can lead to a lower sense of self-worth. When we have a lower self-esteem, what do? We become like worse than doormats. You're okay with people treating you any kind of way. You tolerate all kinds of nonsense from people because you're trying to prove yourself. You're trying to be accepted. You're trying to show that you are worth something, but you don't feel like it. And no matter how hard you work. So you see a lot of women who are people pleasers. They will work themselves till they die. Some of us, you buy everything your kids want, but your own underwear is messed up. Your bras are falling apart. It's like you're not even worthy of taking care of yourself at that very basic level. Another way that it affects us is perfectionism. And perfectionism will have you striving and striving, or because of fear of failure, it will have you not even try. So you now lower your standards for yourself. You don't think you're worthy of that promotion, so you don't even put in an application or, say I'm interested. You kind of shortchange yourself on your opportunities. And of course, that fear of failure. Some physical effects: fatigue. I've already talked about the insomnia, muscle tension. You wake up in the morning, you're already rubbing like uh, my head. Some of us, we carry, and when I say some of us, this used to be me. I had migraines all the time. Yeah, I could not leave my house without having some headache medication in my purse because I didn't know when it would flare up. Some of you, it's upset stomach. Some of us, because you're so high strung from all of this guilt and stress, now you're very short with people. You're very ill tempered. You're yelling at your children. You're just worked up, right? Increased risk of stress related illnesses, some of which I've already talked about. Over apologizing. Someone bumps into you, you're telling them sorry. Ma, sorry. This, you can't speak up. You can't advocate for yourself. Things that you should be able to say, you won't say because I don't want them to think I'm one of those kind of women. I want them to like me, those kind of things. Avoiding opportunities, like I said, due to self-doubt. So you need money. You can, in fact, I'm constantly growing. This just happened to me. You can call it honesty, but there's another way to look at it. I did some legal work, and we get to court. I was appointed as a guardian ad litem here in the US. And we get to court, and after we went through all the proceedings, they have to, find out what my fees are, and so that they can process payment. And they asked me what my fees were, and I told them. And the whole court, all the attorneys in the courtroom, you heard an audible gasp. And as I was walking out, one of the attorneys like motioned to speak to me, and he said, "You are charging way too low." He's like, "Your work today was excellent. Why did you charge like that?" And I said, "Well, this is my hourly rate, and I got the work done in 3 hours. And so I multiplied my hourly rates times 3 hours." And he's like, "Any other attorney would have charged at least 3 times what you charged." Now, I can't say that it was necessary, but there was a part of me as I was filling out the information on my fees. I was like, I don't want to seem like I'm overcharging or whatever. It really was 3 hours work, right? And there was like, no, other people would have put 10 hours. I felt like that was dishonest. But as I was leaving the courtroom, I had to really think and say, well, wait a second. Was I concerned that they would think, oh, she's greedy or she's dishonest? Those. So that self-doubt shows up in different ways. Overcompensating by taking on more responsibilities. Some of us don't know how to say no. You are dying. Your plate is overflowing, but you're still, oh, yes, I can do it. Oh, yes. And you don't know how you're going to do it, but you're still accepting it. So why do women feel this much guilt? When we're talking about breaking free from guilt, womanhood, breaking free from guilt. Well, for sure, societal and cultural programming, that conditioning, the pressure to be the perfect daughter. From as early as I can remember, there are always things about how a girl sits, how a girl talks. You should always be at service. Even when you read Proverbs 31, for those of you who are Christians, what does it talk about? She did this and she did this and she did that, and she woke up early in the morning. She made sure everybody was fed. She went to the high seas. She traded. She made sure her husband was respected on the street. She did it. And I was like, hey, when did she sleep? Great for and in church, you all the time, because I grew up as a Christian. It's like you got to be the Proverbs 31 woman. That's a lot. Meanwhile, what did they say about the man? He's sitting at the gates with the other men. They're just, they're talking, whatever it is that they said they're doing. And she makes sure her family is always well clothed. She make that. So there's this conditioning. If you're a good woman, you should always be doing. And those of us who are mothers, or those of us who have younger people watching us, you need to be careful about this. I remember when we were teenagers, as soon as we heard my mother's car coming, if you can relate to this, please put it in the chat. As soon as we heard my mother's car coming, it doesn't matter if we had cooked already, if the dishes were already done, if the house was clean, you had to get up and look like you're busy. You can't be just lying on the couch watching TV, or for this generation now on your phone. Because when my mother will come in and she's like, and then she sees a speck of dust. You understand what I'm saying? So there was also this, but it was different for the girls than the boys. What was expected for the girls was very different than for the boys. And so it's like as soon as we would hear the car, I would like, what do I need to pick up? Let me look like I'm doing something. So there's this societal conditioning. I don't want my mother to be disappointed, to feel like, oh, she was working and I wasn't doing anything. And my mother would work at that time, she was working 2 jobs. She would work regularly during the week. She was in a PhD program. And then on weekends, she had a second job. So what I saw her was just constantly, and that was the um template that I learned of what a good woman is. Oh, when you come, oh, she sacrifices. Oh, she just takes care of everybody. Isn't that how we praise women? Ah, if you come, there's always food, so much food. She would do this, she would do this, she would do that. She won't let me touch anything. That's how we praise women. You don't hear people praising men in that way. A man will come back, if he went to work, he came back, that's it. Oh, now it's time to relax and to be served. But the question is, in this day and age, when women are also working outside of the home, or even if you are at home, if you have children, are you sitting down and playing? Now, some of you might be, because maybe you have house girls and all kinds of helpers. I live here in the US. There's nobody. If I want to go to the market, it's me, right? If I'm going to garden, it's me. If I'm going to sweep, it's me. It's if I'm going to mop. So this concept of you have to keep doing and doing and doing, it's a societal, it's a cultural conditioning. And if you don't do it, if someone comes to your house, you guys can bear witness. If someone comes to your house as a Nigerian woman, okay, and this is for many other cultures as well, and something is out of place, you and your husband are there. Who do they talk about? It's a woman. She doesn't know how to keep house. Oh, look at her kids. And if we visit a man and his place is messed up, oh, it's because he's a bachelor, it's because he doesn't have a wife. Is a wife a maid? Is a girlfriend a maid, right? But these are the societal, the cultural conditioning that takes place. Gender roles that glorify self-sacrifice and discourage self-prioritization. So if you come in and the woman says, oh, I just came back from work, I'm going to rest for an hour. My husband is going to do the cooking. If your mother-in-law is there or his friends are there, okay, he's woman lapa now. How can a whole man be, and she's sitting down? But if the man is sitting and the woman is working, that is how it's supposed to be. So you can see how our society conditions us. We've seen it even in the workplace. It's changing now, thank God. But even in the workplace, you have a woman who's at the same level as a man, but she's feeling like she has to be the one to go and make the copies or bring the water for the client or whatever, because we're constantly in this place of servitude. And if you don't do it, then you weren't well trained. You're a problematic woman. This one, no, they hear word, all of those kind of things, right? The good woman myth. As I've said, women often being praised for putting others first, but criticized when they prioritize themselves. So sometimes when I'll say, oh, I'm going to the gym or I'm going for a walk. Oh, okay. Something like, oh, now you're on better. Or, those kind of things. It's like, oh, wow, okay. That's how you're living. Great. Because why aren't you slaving to make somebody else's life better? And some of us really overcompensate when it comes to our children, particularly in this day and age. Because at least my parents, our mothers, made us work. This generation of mothers, particularly those of us who work outside of the home, we feel so much guilt for not being in the home all day that when we come back, we now want to lift the child's feet up, sweep under their feet, put their feet down, all of these things, which also actually I feel incapacitates our children, because many of our children are not capable of doing some of the things that we could do. Yemisi said, husband do the cooking, palaver everywhere. Exactly. But Abi, does he not eat? You know, How many of you would like to come home one day and someone else has made the food? So you're at work and you're trying to do your work and meet up to whatever those expectations are. You're trying to prove that just because I remember when I was pregnant with my first child, and I was also going for a promotion. I worked myself to the bone because I was trying to prove, hey, even though I'm going to become a mother, you can trust me. I can hold down all of this. And so some days you'd come to the office at 3 a.m. I'm 8 months pregnant and I'm working because I was trying to prove that I am worthy of this promotion. Meanwhile, the men who were going for the same promotion, before the time to leave work, they had left. Even while they're at work, they're, handling other things. But I just felt this. I don't want people to think because I'm about to be a mother or whatever, that I'm less trustworthy. I'm not going to be able to follow through. And so I was overcompensating. So this good woman myth, the double standards, right? If a man speaks up, he's assertive. If a woman speaks up, put it in the chat. If a woman speaks up, what is she? Please, I want to see what you come up with. If a man speaks up, he's assertive, he's a leader, he's a take charge kind of person. If a woman speaks up, she's rude, she doesn't know her place, she's rebellious. Yes, she's a feminist, and we use that feminist like it's a cuss word. Like feminists are going to hell, right? She's opinionated, she's problematic. She's a kind of troublesome kind of person. That one, that you just talk, all of that. She's arrogant. She's disrespectful. Here in America, they like to tag Black women as angry Black women. And I'm like, what did I say that was different from what her ego is too much? Exactly. But the same behavior. But when it comes to a woman, she's tagged with a lot of negativity, which then follows her. Or whenever people talk about that one, I mean, she gets her job done, but her trouble is too much. But for overdo, exactly. But if it's for a man, he's take charge. He'll make sure the things. He's a leader. He knows how to make sure things happen, right? So that double standard. The comparison and social pressures, the unrealistic portrayals of having it all. I often tell people, listen, how you see me is how I am. Oduayo would tell you that I wore lipstick today. I tried, okay? I don't slay every day. I don't have the time to slay. I'm not going to come on here slayed and you guys think, oh, she always has everything together. Because that's the other thing we do is especially now with social media, you see this woman, she's like, oh, and she's all so put together and she's doing this and she's doing that. And then you start to feel, I'm not doing enough. I'm not woman enough. Let me strive harder. You can't have it all at the same time. It cannot be both cloudy and sunny at the same time. You can't both be the tallest and the shortest at the same time. And there's seasons to life. So there's an organization that I'm a part of now. And when I talk to the younger woman there, I'm like, listen, what I'm able to do now, I couldn't do 10 years ago. 10 years ago, I had 5 children who were 15 and under. I had people I had to give back to. I had people I had to sit down and do homework with, all of that. Now my youngest is 15. I still have to monitor him, but the older ones, like if I don't cook, they can go into the kitchen and cook. So I have a little bit more time. So when you're comparing yourself to someone else, you don't know what their situation is. You don't know what their living environment is, but you're looking at them and thinking, oh, I should be able to do all of this. And if I'm not, I'm falling short. So this unrealistic portrayal of having it all. I recently talked to a woman that I admire. She's doing a lot on, just everywhere, but I see her mostly on social media. And she looks great. And we were just having a sister to sister talk. And then she now told me that actually, because I was like, how are you staying in such great shape and so on and so forth? Because sometimes I don't make the time to exercise. I actually am. I'm pretty good at exercise, but there are days when I do struggle to find the time. And she was like, can I be honest with you? I said, please. She says, I had liposuction. And so you are watching and you're like, oh, but you don't know what other people's situations are. So that comparing, this idea of having it all. And of course, this is where social media is killing us. Because first of all, people lie on social media. Are you aware of that? Um, but it's also like with my daughters, when they ask me to take a selfie or take a picture with them or whatever, I'm the one holding the phone. I'll take one picture and I'll be done. Like, Mom, no, you can't do that. I'm like, okay, you take the camera. And they'll take like 15 or more pictures. And it's do this and do that. Oh, no, the lighting. Oh, this and that and that. And then they post the best of that. So a lot of times we are comparing our everyday lives to somebody's highlight reel. You're looking at, they pick the perfection, they put the filter on everything. And then you're now looking at them and going, oh, I don't measure up. But again, you don't understand everything that went into that. So social media versus real life is also messing with our heads, if you will, and helping to increase this guilt that we have. So let me ask this question. Have you ever felt guilty for saying no? How many of you have a hard time saying no? And even when you do manage to force yourself to say no, you feel really bad. In my family recently, someone wanted to do something and they wanted me to be a part of it. I looked at everything else going on in my schedule and I said, I can't. I cannot add this to, not that I don't care about you, not that I don't love you. I cannot add this on. Let me tell you, the way they try to emotionally manipulate me. Oh, you just don't care. Oh, you do things for other people. Oh, you did. Do you want me to die? And then at my funeral, you now say what a sacrificial woman she was. She gave everything. She would give you the shirt off her back. Why do I have to give you the shirt off my back and go naked? Do you understand what I'm saying? So, have you ever felt guilt about wanting alone time? About just saying, today, I'm not doing anything. I'm going to rest. Have you ever felt guilty about that? Have you ever felt guilty? Someone calling you on the phone, what are you doing? And you're lying down. They say, oh, you sound like you're lying down. No, we're just sweeping. No, I mean, we say yes. I worked hard, I'm lying down. Or I didn't work hard, I didn't feel like it. I am lying down. I am chilling, I'm watching videos. I've been watching for 2 hours now. But you are feeling that guilt. Oh no, I need to jump up and do something. Have you ever felt guilt about not getting married? Why didn't they choose me? Why am I, alone, quote unquote? Have you ever felt guilty about having children and feeling like you're not measuring up? Like your children aren't always perfect, as though anybody is. Have you ever felt guilty, for those of you who are in relationships, about being too tired to have intimacy? And it's like, oh, okay, it's my wifely duties. And if I say no, I'm a bad woman. In fact, there's a church that I attended one time and then I left. That day they were preaching about if a wife ever says no to her husband sexually, she's being a witch. And I said, a witch? It's like, yes, it is a form of witchcraft to deny your husband of his physical needs. Does it matter if I was tired? Does it matter if I wasn't feeling good? No. And then you feel guilt about it, right? Um, Anybody ever felt guilt about their ambitions, about their career goals? Blessing says, oh, then we're all witches. See, you feminists, you're going to burn in hell. We just celebrated International Women's Day, and I was like, in Nigeria, why are you people talking about celebrating International Women's Day when you're letting when other women came out and marched against another woman, as if we don't know what happens in our society. Imagine that. Okay, so feeling guilt about your career goals. or feeling guilt that you're not ambitious enough. One of the things my father used to say when we were in school anyway, so you didn't come first in your class because everybody has to come first, right? It's like that other kid, they have two heads. We kind of take it to where we are as women. This woman who's doing all of this, does she have two heads? Does she have two, carry the child on your back, get your PhD, bring the money in, clean the house, be the best cook the soup better than his mother could, so on and so forth. And either way, whether you're very ambitious, however you define that, or if you're someone who's like, I'm content with where I am. I don't have to buy the latest lace every 2 weeks. You're feeling guilty about that as well. How many of you have felt guilt about setting boundaries with your family? Again, I recently had something with my family where people wanted to come and stay and all of that. And I was like, I cannot do that right now because I know what it takes. First of all, you're going to clean your house at a whole different level. Then you're going to be thinking about all the meals you have to cook, breakfast, lunch, dinner, this, that, being a good hostess, making everybody feel comfortable, so on and so forth. And I was like, I cannot do that right now. And although I stood my ground, something that I didn't used to do when I was in my 20s and early 30s, I still kind of was battling with myself. Well, maybe you can, this is going to make you look bad. They're going to talk about you. We're always concerned about what they're going to say about us. And the main people talking are women talking about other women. We would be the first. Did you see? My dear, let me tell you that one, he thinks he married, or that's why she hasn't married. Right? Those kind of things. So not being the perfect mother, not being a good enough partner, not meeting societal standards in terms of beauty. How did you show up? You didn't have the perfect body or fashionable clothes or whatever. Not being able to balance work and family. How many of you have bought things for your children because you were feeling guilty that you had failed as a mother? Yesterday, I didn't cook. I was tired. I worked 16 hours yesterday. And by nighttime, when my son came and said, now don't mind this boy. He's 17 years old and he knows how to cook. But Mom, what's for dinner? I had actually seasoned meat. I'd actually cooked the meat. I was gonna cook a goosey soup. I was so tired. My back hurt. Everything. I was like, I cannot. Then I felt guilty. I felt bad. I should at least have cooked for the kids. So what did I do? When they now said, can we buy whatever food from outside? I said yes. I could have told those kids, enter the kitchen. But I was feeling like, yeah, I really hadn't paid attention to them. So we all suffer this. But my goal at this time in my life is to quickly identify when I'm feeling guilty and then to say, hey, either this is a healthy guilt. Yes, I was short. I yelled when I shouldn't have. I'll apologize and I'm going to keep it moving. I'm not going to keep beating myself up. Or no, this is a toxic guilt and I'm going to let it go. Yes, I was too tired to cook or even if I wasn't too tired, I didn't feel like it. I'm a human being. I have the right to not feel like it. And you, who is old enough to cook, you can equally get into the kitchen and figure out yourself, right? We feel guilty about not pursuing our goals and our dreams because I had to do this, I had to do this other stuff. And so I couldn't make the time for the extra study or for the course or the whatever at work. I couldn't. So you feel guilty about that. You feel guilty about not managing your emotions. I don't like how I showed up at this time or at this place or how I spoke to so and so. And so you beat yourself up about it, as opposed to, hey, okay, lesson learned, apologize, move on, right? So let's talk about the breaking free part because we've talked enough about the problem. So how do we break free? So because I too am a good student, of Oduayo, I said this time I'm going to use an acrostic. So hopefully we can all remember how to break free. Now, in your mind, I want you to just think when I say the words breaking free, what image comes to mind? And put it in the chat. When I say breaking free, what image comes to mind? Give it a couple of minutes, a couple of seconds here to see your responses. What image comes to mind when I say breaking free? When you hear someone broke free, like what comes here? Chains, right? Now, how do you take off your chains? Do you just go like, oh, chain, come off, please? You know, is that open? Yeah, but it takes effort, right? It takes energy. It takes pulling yourself up to probably a place that you haven't been before. It takes almost an act of violence, to shut that gate open, or to I'm breaking this chain off. It's not, I hope one day I can just break free. No, the concept of breaking free, it is like you got to a place where you're like, enough is enough. And I am going to use whatever energy is required to get this thing off of me so that I can escape, if you will, right? So I want you to understand that if we're talking about women breaking free from guilt, it's not going to be society that just comes and says, "Oh, we don't want you. Let's unlock this. Let's stop this." You are going to have to do the work yourself. No one else is going to set you free. No one is going to tell you, no, just let me not say no one, but most people are not going to say, no, please prioritize yourself. In fact, and tell me again if this is true for you. I have people in my life, they'll call me. Yeah. I was trying to reach you. You're so busy. I know you work so hard. Trial, right? And then the very next second, but I need you to do, and they have an assignment for you, right? So it's like, wait a second. You just told me that we're overworked, that I'm tired, that you feel for me, you've been praying for me. But at the same time, you just quickly now try to give me another assignment. And if I say no to it, so the idea is say no to other people, but don't say no to me. But everybody in your life has that same expectation. Mom, I know you're tired. Mom, can you help me with? And so to break free, you're going to have to be intentional. PA says by force. Blessing says intentional. Yemizi says determination. You are going to have to do it for yourself. No one is going to break you free from guilt. That is a decision you have to make for yourself. And that means you might feel uncomfortable. That means you might break a nail trying to break that chain off. That means you might sweat. That means that somebody, if let me ask you this again, just in your mind's eye, if you see someone breaking out of something, how do they look? Do they look calm and collected and all together? No, it's like, what's going on, right? You're like initially shocked. And that's how people are going to react to you when they see you breaking free. Is she crazy? Is she mad? What is going on with her? I told you that woman has problems. Let them talk. Because here's the deal. You can work yourself to death, and then people will think about you for maybe one day, if you're lucky. Many of them won't even come to your funeral because they have other things doing, right? But you spent your whole life worried about these people, and now you're 6 feet under. And so when we talk about breaking free, you have to get to that place where you're like, I am worth this. And regardless of what people might say, regardless of who might ostracize me, I am getting my freedom. So the B in break is believe in yourself, believe in your right to prioritize yourself. Believe in your right to prioritize yourself. As my mother was, I'm just hearing my mother's voice in my head. She'll say, I'm not Jackie, right? Some of you might be able to relate to that. I'm not Jackie. Just like I'm not a donkey. You're not going to work me to death. Or there are times when my mother will come and I'm doing this, doing that, doing that. She's like, okay, you self, you're Kiliwi. And I did not know for years that Kiliwi was an actual human being. Did you guys know that? I think his full name was like Michael Kiliwi or something, but it was a guy who was like really, really strong, used to be able to pick up a car by himself and all of that. So believe in your right to prioritize yourself. That's the B. That you are a child of God, that you are a human being that requires and deserves rest. That actually, the way the human body is built, we have to rest. If you don't rest, you are going to go to an early grave. So, if you want a long life, you have to actually have that balance, right? You deserve joy in prioritizing yourself. You deserve joy. You deserve rest. You deserve ambition. You deserve success, and you deserve all of those things without apology. Not, oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't have time to cook. Oh, I'm so sorry. We're always apologizing. If you're happy, people go, what is making us so happy? Why is it, oh, okay, let me just do my face like everything is. No, prioritize yourself. So believe in your right to prioritize yourself. If you don't, if you don't have that belief, you will not prioritize your rest. You will not prioritize your joy. You will not prioritize your success. And you will stay in this constant loop of discontent, of lack of fulfillment. Then you start trying to feed it in other ways. You eat to feel better. You drink to feel better. Some people have sex to feel better. Some people are watching videos all day. Some people are gossiping on their phones. Anything to make you feel better, except the things that you should do. So B, believe in your right to prioritize yourself. From my book, Your Self-Love Revolution, and I think we'll put in the chat where you can get it. You can get you can download the book, or you can get a physical copy. If you go to the site, which we'll put in the chat, you can choose which one you want. And particularly if you're in Lagos, it's very easy for us to get it to you. We can also get it to Coach O, Super O, and you guys can coordinate to get it. But from that book, we have one of our affirmations, because we have like over 300 affirmations, and that book is, I am worthy of the life I desire. Without apology, I am worthy of the life I desire. If God has put a desire in your heart, you are worthy of it. And just saying it to yourself until you believe it, until you start acting accordingly. The R is release the good woman myth. Release the good woman myth. This idea of, like again, I said, Proverbs 31, the perfect woman who is just always the perfect hostess, who is always the perfect everything. It's too much. So release that good woman myth. Nobody can be 100% all the time. Even your phone has to be recharged. Am I lying or am I telling the truth? Right? Even your phone, if your car battery dies, your car is not going anywhere. I don't care how expensive the car is. If it's an electric vehicle, if it's not charged, it's not going anywhere. So this whole good woman myth that just has us in a tizzy all the time, we have to challenge that belief, that overextension of ourselves all the time. And what you want to do, and this is an assignment before you go to bed today, is to actually rewrite what a fulfilled woman looks like to you. You've had to rewrite, what does it look like for me to have a good life? And for me, what it looks like now is that I also prioritize myself. That first hour of the day is mine. There are times, even in the evening, I'll tell my children, Mommy is closed. The mommy store is closed. No request, no nothing today. But I'll be open again at 6 a.m. tomorrow. You know, a business has to have opening and closing hours, right? The ones who try to do 24 hours, they need a lot of workers, okay? So I can't do 24 hours. When I was younger, I would do 16, 17, 18, 19. No. And then in every 2 hours, I was waking up to breastfeed. No. So now I've rewritten what it means to me to be a fulfilled woman. And I will tell you, some of you who are Christians, you pray for me if you need to. I'm not trying to be the Proverbs 31 woman anymore. Hawahala is too much for me. But also remember, she also had servants too. No. A fulfilled woman for me today is that I have peace of mind. That when I need to sleep, I sleep. That if my money is not enough, I say it's not enough. Right? That I have high standards and I do try to meet my standards. But when I've done what I can, I stop. So one of the things I now tell people, because as a life coach, people come to me for different things and all of that. And sometimes people are like, I was trying to reach you, I was trying to reach you, I was trying to reach you. And this is what I now tell people. In America, you have you have a number 911 that you can call. If you call 911, you get the emergency service people. They can send the police out, they can send a fire truck out, they can send ambulance out, all of those things. So you call 911 for emergencies. So I tell people, I am neither 911, nor am I Jesus or Buddha or Muhammad or whoever it is you believe in. Therefore, whatever you were going through, if you didn't get a hold of me, I was not going to be the one to save your life. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, I'm not going to, you can't put that pressure on me. If you're having a heart attack, it's not my number you needed to call. You need to call the people who have the ability to help you with a heart attack, right? I will get to you when I can get to you. If that's not good enough, find somebody else. But you will not come and be killing me. Do you understand what I'm saying, right? So release that good woman myth. Read right. Read right what being a fulfilled woman means to you. And a fulfilled woman means that some days, yes, I'm a sex siren and all of that. And I'm telling my husband, bring it on. And some days I'm like, oh boy, I need to sleep. And I'm not feeling guilt about it. I'm not a bad wife, right? At work, and I know that this is kind of dicey because you want to keep your job and all of that, but I'm not taking on more and more and more to prove a point, working 3 people's jobs for 1 pay. But then you see a man who will say no to that extra work and it will be okay. The E is for establish boundaries without guilt. You have the right to say no. And let me say this, please write this down. No is a complete sentence. It's not, no, I'm sorry, I can't, I have to say no because I have to take the children to so. I have to say no because my boss, I have to say no because there was a death. No. I don't have to give you an excuse. I don't have to give you a reason. No, it's a full and complete sentence. Now, don't get me wrong. With certain relationships and stuff, if my child says, just happened this past week, he called me from school. He's like, Mom, can you da 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 da? He needed me to bring something to school. And I said no. I didn't just leave it at no. I said no, because I'm in court. So you're gonna have to figure it out. Because I'm not going to say, oh, Your Honor, my son needs something. Can you adjourn this? I'll be back in 3 hours. That's not how it works. So no is a complete sentence. You need to protect your time, your energy, and your mental health. Listen, people who are takers, they have no boundaries and they have no limits. Am I lying? If someone comes now and says, oh, things are hard, there's no food in the house, can you just give me 30,000? If you give them 50,000, how many people in your life are going to count 20,000 back and give it to you? And say, no, I only needed 30,000. How many? If you say you know people who will give you back that 20,000, you're lying. You are lying. They will say, ma, thank you. God bless you. All of that. And you know, yeah, it's great for people to bless you, but you maybe have just given more than you could really afford to give because you want people to see you in a certain way. And so when you say no, or when you're giving, understand that takers will take as much as you allow them to take. They have no boundaries. If someone comes to your house and you say, oh, you can stay for as long as you want. Most people, hey, free room, free food 3 times a day, They're going to make themselves comfortable. You might come back from work and they even have friends that are being entertained at your house. So you got to know what your boundaries are, and you have to establish those boundaries without guilt. So now someone may ask me for 100,000 for something, and I'll say, if God puts it on my heart to give, and I have, right? I will say, hey, I can give 20. I don't care what face they make. You don't know my situation. If the 20 is not good, don't worry now. Take zero and go. Because if you don't have boundaries, people will keep taking and taking and taking. At work, they will take. In your personal relationships, they will take. Your children will take as much as you give. And actually, the more they take, the more entitled they feel. So if today someone came and asked you for 100 and you just gave it quick like that, tomorrow when they come and you ask and you say no, they ask and you say no, oh, now you become like the worst person on earth, because now there's this sense of entitlement. So E is for established boundaries without guilt. So being able to say, no, that doesn't work for me. No, that time is not good for me. No, I'm not available. Or just no. Okay. The A is for ask for and accept help. This is for all of you killiwees in the group who are listening. You must carry everything on your head by yourself. Someone was teaching about this. Some of you just can't say yes. It was actually Shonda Rhimes. I was reading a book by Shonda Rhimes called The Year of Yes. And she was explaining that it's simple things like, for me, right? Might be carrying a load and someone says, oh, let me help you. My default setting is like, no, I have it. I got it. Don't worry. Meanwhile, I'm like, right, straining. And after I read that book, The Year of Yes, I said, what is it about you that you have a hard time, one, asking for help, and two, when it's even offered, you now say no? What are you trying to prove? What is that about? So I've this year been working on just saying yes. Oh, let me open the door for you? Oh, thank you. Yes. Instead of, no, I've got it. No, I've got it. No, I've got it. You've carried everything on your head. You're stressed out. Ask for and accept help. Just as other people are always asking you, ask other people as well. Not to become, yeah, and a lot of times we don't ask because of our ego. I don't want them to talk about me. I don't want them to think. I don't want to owe anybody anything. And you're dying, right? So the A is ask for and accept help, because this superwoman thing is a myth. The only time you hear them talk about Superman is when they're talking about the movie. Am I lying or am I telling the truth? When do you hear about Superman myth for men? But women, you people have gone, you have 20 different capes you put on. You're going to carry everything on your head for what? To prove what? Because let me tell you, the people who want to talk about you are going to talk about you regardless. And that one, oh, she didn't want to rest. Okay. That one, oh, she does too much. That it doesn't matter. Those who are going to talk are going to talk. So if you're people pleasing, you are never going to get 100% of the people on your side. So let go of that superwoman myth. Let go of the guilt that has you thinking that asking for help means you're weak. That asking for help means you're weak. No, I can't. Can you help me with? Can you help me with? It's not selfish to receive if it's necessary. Again, some of the lessons that I learned as a kid, it's better to give than to receive. So you keep giving and you keep giving. And do you know that I've had people that I've done things for, and then they come back and they want to give me a gift? No, I can't take it. No. What's blocking your blessings? What is that? What is that? Okay. The K in break, remember, we're talking about breaking free. The K in break is keep self-care a non-negotiable. Self-care is not indulgent, it's actually survival. If you don't eat, you're going to die. If you're not drinking water, and I can work, and actually forget to eat. And now my youngest son, if he'll come back from school, Mom, did you eat today? And if I say, no, Mom, you can't live like this. This is crazy, Mom. Why are you treating yourself like that? Very good question. Because what do I do for everybody else? Oh, have you eaten? Have you eaten? I even text some friends. Have you eaten? But you haven't done the same for yourself. So keep self-care as a non-negotiable. Guilt-free moments, joy, pleasure, rest. I honor myself and I prioritize my well-being. I honor myself and I take care of myself. I was reading a book. It's called How to Think, that was written by, what's his first name? His last name is Maxwell. He's this leadership guru. You guys know who I'm talking about. Jack? No, it's not Jack. It's not Jack. John Maxwell. Don't ask me why I'm forgetting his name. I got a certification through his organization, John Maxwell. So in this book, How to Think, thank you so much. He was talking about all these ultra wealthy people and how they carve out at least an hour each day, and then they carve out half a day each work week, and then how they even set up like personal retreats, just a day where you're not doing anything and you're just kind of thinking and planning, you know? And I'm thinking, wow, makes sense. Because if you're constantly going and you're never ever taking time to kind of sit back, reevaluate, recharge, again, that burnout. And you see that a lot in women. You see that burnout. So let's go to the free part of it, right? So the F in free is forgive yourself and let go of the shame. And while you're forgiving yourself, forgive other women as well. Let's stop being so judgmental of other women. But forgive yourself and let go of the shame. So let's say you made a decision in the past that wasn't the greatest decision. It wasn't the best decision. That is no reason for you to keep beating yourself up over and over again. Ah, what would they say? Oh, I just cost us money. Oh, I'm so stupid. Oh, I'm so this. I mean, some of us, our self-talk is so negative. I should have done better in school. I should have this. I should have known this. I should have, and you just keep beating yourself up. Forgive yourself. Whatever it is that you have to acknowledge it, learn the lesson from it, and say, you know what? That was a tough lesson. That was an expensive lesson, but I'm going to forgive myself. So some of us are actually so much better at helping other people forgive themselves than us. If someone else breaks a plate, let's say one of your children breaks a plate, or your girlfriend came to your house and the plate slipped out of her hand and it broke. How many of you go, you're so stupid. You're wasting money. You can't take care of anything. You can't be trusted. How many of you would do that to your girlfriend? I know some of you would do it to your children, so I'm taking them out of the equation, but we shouldn't either. But how many of you would do that to your girlfriend, someone you care about? Very few, if any. But how do we talk to ourselves? Oh, this, that. We start calling ourselves names other people have called us. That's what you're thinking in your head about yourself. And let me tell you, when you think that low of yourself, you are absolutely going to beat yourself into a place where you are not going to be the success that you could be. So very important that you are forgiving yourself and you are letting go of the shame, whatever that shame was, whatever that thing is that you did that, now you know better that you shouldn't have done. Let go of the shame. All right, so that was the F, excuse me. The R goes back to, again, what we were talking about with releasing that good woman, is giving yourself permission to figure out how you want to be. And that is going to change from season to season. What your tree looks like in Harmattan season is very different for many trees than what it looks like in the rainy season. So it's also paying attention to the seasons of your life, the time of your life, and just saying, on my own terms, this is what freedom looks like to me. On my own terms, this is what freedom looks like to me. The E is embracing your imperfections. Embracing your imperfections. None of us is perfect. You shouldn't even feel that you have to be, because there's no such thing actually. You are not here to prove yourself. You are here to be yourself. Can I say that again? You are not here to prove yourself. You are here to just be yourself. So be yourself and allow yourself to grow and evolve. If any of you at age 25 looked like what you looked like at 2 months, it would be a problem, would it not? And so to expect that you're going to stay stagnant or that there's only one way to be is insanity, actually. So what is a different way that you can embrace and constantly allow yourself to evolve by embracing your imperfections? Yes, this time I'm this. This time I have a pooch. This time I breastfed. Yes, my breasts do not look like I'm 15 years old, and that's okay. And just knowing that that is fine and embracing that season of your life. And then the E is, so you don't need to be flawless, is what I'm saying, no matter what society's telling you. And then the second E is empower other women by owning your own truth. When you break free, you give other women the permission to do so. One of the reasons that it's so important for me to change what I'm doing right now is I have 2 daughters watching me, but I also have 3 sons who are going to turn around. How many of you know that your husbands or the men that you've had in your life are expecting you to be like their mothers? Yeah, my mother did this, that was a different time, right? That was a different time. I am not your mother. And I don't want my sons to feel like whoever they decide to get with or marry or whatever has to be exactly, no, no, no. Notice her characteristics, whatever, figure out what works for the two of you, honor who she is, but don't feel like she has to be me. And so I like for them to see how I'm growing and evolving so that it will empower my daughters to know that they can own their own truth and be their own people, but also that it empowers me to continue to live my truth and hopefully tells my sons also not to have the same societal expectations and put those same kind of pressures on the women in their lives. So, some affirmations that you can use, and I'm going to end here. I release the guilt that no longer serves me. I am enough just as I am. I give myself permission to live fully and freely. Now, we can say all that we have said right now, but here's the issue. If you don't know yourself, you may not even realize how guilt is holding you back. And to that extent, Super O has some amazing assessments that I encourage everybody to reach out to her and to take for your own good. It will help you better understand yourself. Do you have childhood traumas that are still triggering you? Do you know what your love language is? Do you understand what other people's love languages are? She has different assessments that can help you take a better look at yourself so that if there is an area where you need to grow and heal, you can do that work. Because if you don't do that work, you are never going to be strong enough to break free of guilt. So I definitely encourage you all, reach out to Super O, get some of those assessments done, take the information to heart, utilize it, because this issue of breaking free is really a matter of life and death for us. For us women, it is really a matter of life or death. Super O, thank you so much. So if we have any questions, comments, anything, please go ahead.
Thank you very, very much, Mark. Thank you so much for everything that you have shared so far. And we have done a whole lot together. And outside the fact that we have done a whole lot together, I have been in different spaces at different time. And it's like a burden on my heart because a lot of time women are held down by that guilt, and it shows up in the house, it shows up out of the house, it shows up in the workplace, and most of the time, women are the problem of women, even outside the fact that every other, the men, the children are pulling us, but we are problems to ourselves. And that is why sometimes you would find women not wanting to thrive where women are, because they are used to that. Oh, they would always. So we need to just be free. We need to be free, not only for, first for ourselves, then, there was a time that we got talking, and I'm sure with your experience too, you have come across a lot of wounded women, a lot of wounded adults, a lot. And sometimes they are not even aware that they are wounded. And what do wounded people do? They inflict wound on every other person. Your husband is in trouble. Your children are in trouble. Everybody in your space, everybody would suffer that. And unfortunately, most people don't even know they are wounded. That's the sad part. And I read a book recently, the body keeps score. I
The
read the
body keeps score. Yes.
I read the book, and oh my God, I think that was part, outside my other experiences, that was part of why I said, oh, let's do this together, just to reach out to some more people. Please, if you have any question, we have.
As you were talking, super. Oh, please, and anybody, please unmute to ask your question. As you were talking, it reminded me of something that when you talked about, most of us are wounded. Listen, if you've gone through childhood, which if you're now an adult, most of us have gone through childhood, you experience something. You experience something. You might have been of the mindset of sticks and sticks and stones can hurt my bones, but words can never hurt me. But some of us, we heard some very harsh things. But then, and your body does keep score. You don't even realize when you're being triggered. But then some of us have also gone through physical things. There's a lot of sexual abuse in Nigeria and across the world. Um, Another thing that I experienced personally were miscarriages. And I'm telling you, I had four back to back. The kind of guilt that racked me, I was just sure that it was my sins that were being visited on me. Hey, let me tell you that every church I went to altar call, sometimes 2 times a day. It was like, okay, but if God already forgave you in the morning, what are you repenting for again? But I was just filled with, I was like, every time I had another miscarriage, I was like, which sin? Which one do I need to atone for? But this is how I kept beating myself up. And it was really self-inflicted, because if whatever faith you believe in, God is a loving God, right? And if you did ask for forgiveness, you've gotten it. But I just kept beating myself up. So doing those assessments with super are really important. My book, Your Self-Love Revolution, we go through, it's 30 days, and we go through helping you to think through all the things that are operating in your head and in your body that you're not even aware of until someone now points it out to you. It's like, have you ever eaten, maybe you ate egusi soup, and there's little piece of vegetable stuck in your teeth. You can't see it. You're still laughing, talking to people and everything. And then maybe one kind person will say to you, wait a second, there's something in your teeth. But until someone helps point it out to you, or until you go and stand in front of a mirror, you don't even realize that you have that. And so these assessments, that book, these are things that can help you better identify the things that are actually creating issues for you, that are keeping you in that cage. And you need that information so you can break free. Yes, please, any questions or comments?
Maybe I should call people's name.
You read my mind, because I was just looking at, Taiwo has their hand up, because I was like, I'm about to call somebody, especially Helen, because she just has this picture, just looking so awesome in that picture. I was about to call her. Okay, please, Taiwo, go ahead.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I'm really grateful Thank you, Suparo, for the invite. Okay, so let me turn my video on so I can, yeah. So good to see you. Good to meet you, ma'am. My question
You
is
have
this.
such a beautiful smile. Oh my God, look at those
Thank
teeth.
you. Thank you, ma'am. Okay, how do you draw the line? While you were talking, I was thinking, okay, I think because since morning, okay, let me show you something. Let me try and do this. I've been folding clothes, like doing the laundry. Saturdays is for laundry. So I've not really, this is like, maybe this is the third time I'm sitting down today. I'll be on my feet, my legs out. So I was like, okay, so if I don't do this, who else I have a 3-year-old and a 7-year-old. So where do we draw the line, right? When do we know, okay, I cannot, do all of this. I just need to take a break. If I should say I want to have mommy's day off, I don't know. My toddler will not even allow me. I think it's a season, right? So I can't afford to do that now. But really, I really wish I can just, take a break or just have morning session for myself. Like in the morning, I can read my books, I can do a lot of things, but I have to go to school, I have to do school runs and all that. So where do I draw the line? Is it that I'm doing too much, or is it that it's a phase that I just need to encourage myself, oh, it's going to pass and all of that? Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome. Thank you for that question. I think most of us can relate to that. And I'm going to say that it's both. Both that it is a phase, it's a season, and also that you're doing too much. So let me ask you this, and I can say this confidently because I was in this situation. In fact, there was a time when I had all five children, and they were still pretty young. When I see the pile of clothes, I want to cry. Like inside, I start crying because I can't get any of it done during the day. I'm carrying one on my back. I have my phone like this. I'm cooking soup like that. The other one is holding my leg. It's like, oh my God, it was a lot. So, a couple of things that I didn't do back then, but I'm hoping you would have the better common sense than I had. Are you married?
Yes, ma'am, I am.
Okay. Never once did I sit down with my husband because I was trying to be this perfect wife and not ask for help. Never once did I sit with my husband and say, here are all the things that have to be done in a day in this house, and I'm overwhelmed. This is what I need from you. In the morning or in the evening, I just need 30 minutes or 45 minutes where I'm not doing kids, I'm not doing this, I'm not doing anything. I'm just I'm just quiet, sitting somewhere. I went outside, whatever, right? Because sometimes with the kids, especially when I was breastfeeding, as soon as my child would see me, my husband would say, "Oh, the baby wants you." Because it's very quick to give back to me, right? So it's like you had to get out of this, even their sight, right? But never once, and I'm not proud to say this, did I say to my husband, I need help. I just carried the whole load on my head. Today, I am not such a good wife because now I'm like, Oga, A, B, C, D, E, F have to be done. I can do A, B, C, D. Do you want to do E and F? Sometimes he'll say no. He will pay someone to do it. Alilo, no problem. Bring the money, we can pay someone to do it, right? Sometimes he will say no. And then I'll say, okay, then it's not going to be done. And I now have to get myself to be at peace with it not being done. So I got to a point where the level of cleanliness in my home was not the standard that I would have wanted because I was not going to be coming and going and killing myself. You understand what I'm saying? So I will encourage those of you young mothers, you didn't make these children by yourself. Person no be firewood. Yes, the fact that even if you're not working outside of the home, you will wash that same plate 3 times because you fed the child how many times in one day? Someone will come in and say, oh, there are plates here, but you've been doing dishes all day. So ask for help. Now, if you do have a spouse who either because their work or whatever, or their selfishness, whatever, will not assist, this is also where women need to create a community of friends. When we say it takes a village to raise children, way back then, we didn't do it all. Grandma will help, or an auntie will help, or the older ones will watch the child for a little bit or whatever. This is a good time to start finding other like-minded women that you can form a sisterhood with. So in my life now here in the US, I don't have any house girl. I do have some friends where I can say, Nancy, can you please, can I please drop the kids off while I run these errands? I don't ask every week. I don't take people for granted. I don't use people. So my friends, they know if I call, she really needs help. Or I'll say, this child needs to go here, but I'm also over here with this other child. Can anyone help? And one of my friends will be like, yeah, I can do it. And I too will be available for them, for their children in that way too. So we need to start finding communities that we build so that we don't die. So that we don't die. But the other thing, as soon as my children, each of them, as soon as they hit 12, you are responsible for washing your clothes or unfolding your clothes. I will not die. So now I don't do anybody's clothes except my own. I don't even do my husband's. Yes, call me a bad wife. Oh God, there's washing machine. There's a dryer here. Maybe in Nigeria. Nigeria labor is so cheap for some of you. You can't even call wash a person, whatever. But no, I'm not killing myself anymore. So what I would say is, one, look at your standards. You cannot be perfect in everything, so don't put so much pressure on yourself. Two, ask for help. And when people offer to give help, receive the help. You can, even if you have a younger sister, if you have an older sister, if you have an aunt, his sister or mother or whatever, you can say, auntie, sissy, friend, whatever. April 10th, do you mind? Can you watch the children all day for me? And you just set it in your mind. That is my day for whatever it is you want to do. Because you need that break. Because again, when your phone battery dies, I don't care how expensive your phone is, guess what it doesn't do? It doesn't work. You are more important than that phone. You have to recharge as well. Does that help? Taiwo, does that help?
Yeah, yes, 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 yes. Thank
In
you
the
so much.
meantime, while you're folding these clothes, my sister, put some music, put a movie, something, like do something as well that can kind of keep your spirits up, because it is a lot of work. It is a lot of work. Thank you.
All right, thank you. So I have a question here from one of us, and the question speaks to the husband's refusal to be financially committed because of no to sex when the wife is tired. Then also the fact that the husband has normalized that the wife must be the alpha and omega in terms of making sure the home is kept, the home manager, housekeeper, and all of that. So how do you advise this person goes or breaks free from that guilt?
So there's some things that I'm going to say to you, but you guys know when it comes to relationship, it takes two. And you do what you can, but you cannot control what the other person is going to do. First of all, and it's hard sometimes to hear this, that person is being very uncaring and manipulative. Having said that, if you think about how we negotiate at work, we need to bring some of those kind of skill sets into our relationships as well. Now, there's some people who, no matter what you do, they want it their way and they're not going to compromise, work with you, try to work out situation. In that case, these are conversations that actually many of us need to be having before we get married, those are conversations I'm having with my daughters and my sons right now. You know, some of us were just so happy that somebody said they love us and somebody wanted to marry us. We did not ask any other question. And then you enter the marriage and you're like, oh, wait a second, is this what I signed up for? Which is why you're seeing a lot of divorces, because we're not having some very important conversations before we even get married. But let's say with this situation, this person is like, "Oh, okay, you didn't give me say." I mean, first of all, is this a relationship or is this like a business transaction? That's crazy. Just let me just first affirm that that is crazy. I'm tired. That's why I couldn't. Okay, then I'm not gonna give you any more. So you're punishing me? Um, but here's what I would do to start off with is acknowledge what your spouse is feeling, the frustration. So let's just say his name is since Taiwo was here, let's say his name was Kane Day. I'll say Kane Day. After feeding him, because timing is everything, okay? So do whatever it is that usually gets your husband in a good mood. Do we all know, his favorite food, whatever, like hail him, oh, great guy, whatever you have to say, even if it's holding you in your throat to say, just for purposes of this, right? So after Kane has eaten, he has really enjoyed the food, whatever. You guys quiet time, like you say, my husband, I've really been thinking about what you said. And I can only, how have you been feeling? Like it seems like you are frustrated about this situation. So you give him a chance to talk, let him get his feelings out. So whatever it is, he's going to say, I work hard, I do this, I do that. When I come home, you can't even this, you don't greet me. Don't make any face, because if you're like me, I would be quiet, but my whole face will be talking the whole time. I'd be like, okay, so I'm setting it all with my face. So fix your face, okay? We're solution oriented here. We're not judging. What's that new thing they say? Listen and don't judge, something like that. Is that what they say? Okay, so at this point, you're just listening to make sure that he feels heard. Because a lot of times when we get angry, it's because you're not feeling validated, you're not feeling heard. So your first job is you're trying to just get him comfortable to speak. What is it? And he says, you know, sex, and you say, okay, I hear you. And you might even want to repeat back to him what he said so that he knows for sure that you heard him. And then you say, but I would love to have sex with you all the time. Maybe you can help me. Because men like to be problem solvers, right? So you say, maybe you can help me. Let me give you an example. So on Monday, I woke up at 5 a.m. I ironed the children's clothes. Then I did this. Then I did this person's hair. Then I fed them. Then I packed their lunch bag. Then I did school run. The traffic. By the time I finished this, then I did, like I would list out the whole thing, right? Because a lot of times men don't know what we do. When they come, it's like, oh, the soup was good. You don't know how long it took me to either go and buy the okazi, or back in my day, we would cut the okazi and then we would pound it before we cook it, right? You have seasoned meat, you have this, then so you just saw soup. Soup did not just appear like that. It might have been a 2-hour process for that soup to show up, right? That doesn't include going to the market. So you just write out your whole day and you say, I want to enjoy sex with you. You're so amazing. But here's the thing. Like, this is an example of my day. By the time I did all of this, I was my back, and I want to be there for you. So can you help me figure out, like, how can we do things so that we're both available and we can both enjoy each other? Do you understand what I'm saying? So if he's a man who cares about you, if he doesn't, I can't help you. But if he's a man that cares about you, he might look at this and say, you're doing all of this. Okay, if he has the money, maybe he hires someone who helps with something. If he doesn't have the money, maybe he agrees to, or maybe he says, oh, and some of you may not want your mother-in-laws in your house, but maybe he says, oh, we can get this kind of help. But what you're doing is you're helping him to better understand what gets you to where you are. And then, because you're not a doormat, you say, and while we're talking about this, women, it's not just and then you have sex. You know that when you call me during the day or when you text me and you just remind me what I mean to you or you say nice, kind words to me, that also makes me feel better, more in the mood as well. So, can you also, do you see what I'm saying? Like you're also teaching him whatever your love language is, because he may not know it. And many of us, we don't tell it because we feel like if you care about me, you should just know what to do. But these men, they're smart and they're also not so smart. So you might have to educate him. Now, when he does the things, you do have to acknowledge it. Like, oh, he said, oh, I hope you're having a good day. You write back and you say, oh my God, this text made me so happy. Thank you, my dear. Thank you, my sweetheart, whatever it is. Like, make him realize that you appreciate it so that you get more of it. If none of this works, my sister, I don't know what else to say to you, except that you may have a problematic husband. And to be honest with you, many of our men are problematic because we have raised them to be entitled. And we have raised this men to have this whole idea of wifely duties. Well, it's like, well, what are your manly duties? If you want me to be available like the women that you pay their rent, then cover everything financially. And me too, I would have been rested and ready for you. But these are conversations that we need to have, but sometimes they're difficult to have. And if you have a husband who is angry, who has outbursts, who doesn't even want to really have those conversations with you, we have to talk offline. That one would not be the conversation we have here. And Super O knows how to reach me, so you can get my email from her. Um, Someone shared with me how a husband cooks dinner so that the wife won't have to cook dinner and be too tired for sex. I like that. Yes, you want something, I want something. I mean, unless you don't enjoy sex, why wouldn't you want to have that intimate, wonderful time with your husband? But being tired is real. Feeling taken for granted is real. Feeling like no one sees you except for when they want your body. It's real. And so being able to have those conversations, my niece's husband is like that actually. He will just sometimes he cooks more than she does. But she's a dentist. He knows how hard she works, what she does with the kids and everything. And he makes sure by 8:30, he helps her put those children to bed. Now, both of them can just, relax a little bit and enjoy themselves. So, yeah. Any other questions, comments? Anybody who has any additional, like, oh no, this happened and this is what my advice would be, because I don't know everything. My marriage is not like heavenly in that sense, like, oh, everything is perfect. So I'm not even going to lie to you about that. So if anybody has anything they want to add, please feel free.
I think we don't have any other question for today.
No, I think Helen has to answer a question. If she's gonna put this picture on here, it is looking like what they would say here in America, a tall glass of something. She's looking amazing in that picture. Helen, you want to say anything?
Thank you, Coach Ara. I actually don't have anything to say. I'm actually learning from everything everybody's saying. I'm still single, so I'm actually learning a lot. I think I dropped a comment, especially when you said sometimes we feel guilty about some things. There used to be a time I used to feel guilty that, oh God, why am I not married? If I was married, I would have done this, I would have done that, I would have done this. But at the time, I got to a certain stage of my life and I got to understand some things that, see, just enjoy your single life and work on yourself. When the time comes, the right man will come. So for now, enjoy yourself, enjoy your life, and fulfill purpose. That's what I'm doing at the moment. So I'm actually enjoying the class. I'm enjoying the talk. So thank you once again, Coach Aya. I appreciate.
Appreciate you and I applaud you, because I wish that someone had this conversation with me when I was younger, when I wasn't married. I would have I think my marriage would have been stronger. we wouldn't have had some of the struggles that we had, because we would have had some of those honest conversations up front. We would have talked about our expectations up front. Some of us, we spend more time planning the wedding than we do planning the actual marriage. And so you're not even clear on what that person's expectations are of you, and they're not clear of your expectations of them. And then there comes the miscommunication. So we really all need to be having these conversations with younger women, younger men, so that you think through these things a little bit more, and you have those conversations. As if you think they're uncomfortable before you're married, once you're already married, they become almost impossible sometimes, because it's like the die has almost been cast. Or for people like me, if I feel for my husband, because for 20 years I operated in a certain way, where I was just carrying everything on my head. I wanted to be the best wife ever, the best mother ever, the best daughter ever. It's too much. And so now that I'm dialing back, now that I'm reclaiming myself, to my husband, sometimes it feels like, what is going on with this woman? What is wrong with her? But there's nothing wrong with me. I had just gotten off on a note where it was actually not sustainable long term. And when I started to express my frustration and how tired, how utterly exhausted I was, because I had done it for so long, it was like, what's the problem now? Like I'd always done it. So those of you who are not yet in relationships, this is a great time to have the conversation before you say I do. And for those of us who are already married, um, try to have these conversations. And I will tell you, they are not easy. But again, if you're going to break free, it's not going to be easy. And breaking free, you might end up bruising your fist. You might have some cuts because you were breaking free. But the question is, would you rather go through that and be free, or do you want to stay in that cage forever? I got to a point where I was like, nah. And a lot of this is self-imposed. And now I've given people permission to expect that of me. And so now I have broken free. Yes, everybody's not happy with me, but I'm happy with me. All right.
Thank you very much, ma'am. But truthfully, most people that are married, the question is, why did you get married? Yeah. No, if you could have a talk with yourself, ask yourself, why did you get married? The truth is, a number of us got married because that was what society felt was a thing to do at that time. So it was go to nursery school, primary school, secondary school, university, then you get married, And I typed on the chat box. Most people are not even happily married. Say that's just the truth. They are just packaging. But it is what it is. Thank you everyone for coming. Thank you for sharing this space with us. We are glad to have you on board. I want to believe that everyone that has a question has asked. I want to believe that it's not just going to be business as usual. My encounter with Coach Aya did not leave me the same way. I don't know about you. I didn't know, like I said, I didn't know I was wounded until I met Coach Aya. I didn't even know that I was dimming my lights because I wanted the people in my space to feel comfortable. I didn't know a lot of things until we started having those conversations during the 30 days self-love. And one of the interesting things that happened is, there's a way we in Nigeria feel that, oh, it's just a Nigerian thing. And I met people that were not even based in Nigeria that had those same struggles. So it's common to us all. Maybe, yeah, mostly because of our experiences as children. It has kind of shaped us to this stereotype kind of life. As we are here, a lot of people have things to say. they would not say because they have not gotten to that safe space yet. You know, they are not sure if I talk. You know, we are used to, hey, did not hear what this person said. I don't have that time, unfortunately. I don't have that time, but I am here to make the world a better place for us all. And I hope that we're able to get value every step of the way. Yeah, you can reach out to me, at least a number of people here. I know one-on-one, or you got invited through a friend. And if you also want to speak to Coach Aya, no, we are in this our own world. The sky is enough for everybody to shine. I am not
Yes.
intimidated. Coach Aya, as you are seeing a pelege like this, she's already close to 60. She's just, please, we that we are still young, leave us alone. You know, she's almost a grandma, but she's just so beautiful inside out. And that is why I felt the need to bring her to share some of my treasured assets with the whole world. So thank you very much, Ma, for coming. Thank you, everyone. Yeah, I think that will be about all. I shared the feedback link for people to just share whatever they have to say about the training. We have more coming. We have more coming. I can assure you that. And whenever coach wants to do this, I think I will reach out to everyone. Your life will not be the same when you. I had to personally take it up at some point to do this with a lot of women, and I'm sure they also.
We have one coming up with girls.
Oh yes.
So yes, you can, once we get that information, you can send it out. We're going to be teaching some concepts to the younger girls before they get messed up in the head like some of us. Yeah.
Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Coach Aya, you know I love you, right?
Tell you, I'm so grateful for your light. I'm so grateful because you're changing lives. You know this. You've seen what kids, some of the students have written to you and everything. You're changing lives. And just imagine if you had continued to diminish who you are, for what? For what? So thank you. Thank you for everything you're doing. And thank you, everybody, for coming. Listen, keep hope alive. Listen, we are here because other women fought for us to get what we have. I just did a program where I was teaching about Fumilayo Ransom Kuti. You can imagine the kind of pressure that she had back then when there were so few educated, well, formerly educated Nigerian women. But she fought for women's rights. People like her, Margaret Ekpo, all of that. Because of them, we today are here, and we need to fight and break free so that our daughters and our granddaughters are even in a better position to be everything they are. And the world benefits when we're all our best. So thank you. Thank you all for coming.
Good night, good afternoon, good evening, good night, good morning, everyone. Yeah. Bye. Thank you.